Rain fell last night for most, and some of us pick up even more tonight. How much more is going to fall and when? Coming up.
Hi, Allison.
Yes, the good thing is that this rainfall is going to hold off until much later tonight, which is good news if you're heading out to the Reds game, if you've got any other plans for this Tuesday. But as we head into the overnight hours, yet again, another chance for some rain, some thunderstorms as well. Back out to our west here. This is what I'm going to be watching throughout the next several hours this evening. It's going to ride along a boundary and eventually brings us the chance of rain and thunderstorms, possibly picking up another ½ inch to an inch of rainfall for some neighborhoods here tonight. The timeline of this all is going to be much later, though, as I mentioned. So we're looking at fairly dry weather with some increasing cloud cover for the rest of the evening. Tonight, closer to 11 o'clock, we'll start to see that rain moving into our southwestern zones, areas around Carrollton, seeing it first up toward Vevey, and then over toward Ripley County. You'll start to see that rainfall first. By about midnight, yet again, there is that chance to hear some thunder, have some rainfall around the area, some lightning. I don't think it's going to be as loud or as electric as last night was, but there is still the chance that you've got some thunderstorms around the area here tonight as you are either just dozing off or already well into that deep sleep. Once we get to tomorrow morning, I still think, unlike today, there is a chance to see some rainfall around. In fact, tomorrow's a weather impact day because there will be some rain during that Wednesday morning commute. So coming up in a few minutes, I'll show you how much you can expect to see for the rest of tonight, the cooler weather that's going to follow all of this rainfall, and the timeline for when it moves out coming up. Ashley, Reds game still looks like it's going to be a pretty nice evening for all of that. Temperatures are sitting in the 70s for most of us, right around 70 degrees, but our rain chance is just around the corner. Yet again tonight, as that sun sets, you start to fall asleep. We'll start to see the rain moving in here, some thunder, some lightning, and that rainfall closer to about 11 o'clock for the arrival time for a lot of us throughout Cincinnati. It's back out to our west right now. Again, our temperatures are sitting around 72 so far, 73 in Loveland. We'll stay in the 70s for a few more hours, but we'll start to see that cloud cover increasing here a little bit more. Here's 10:30 tonight, not too much happening still locally. A lot of the rain's going to be to our south and west, and you have to look southwest tonight to see that rain moving in because it is going to be kind of moving up the Ohio River. As we get closer to midnight, rain will keep on pouring into the area. Some thunderstorms will be a possibility. I do think that morning commute tomorrow, the Wednesday morning commute, is going to be a little bit rainy at times, so that's why Wednesday is going to be a weather impact day for us. Now, I don't anticipate this is going to be as loud or as active as last night was, but I still think some rumbles of thunder here or there, that will be a possibility. And then the rainfall continuing into tomorrow morning's commute is different compared to today as well. We were all dry by the time the sun came up this morning, but tomorrow we'll see the rain through 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock. I even think closer to 11 or even noon tomorrow, we still could see a few isolated showers continuing, but then we'll start to dry out for the afternoon in time for the kids to get off the bus, enjoy your Wednesday. Yet again, another Reds game tomorrow evening, so it looks like our weather is going to shape up pretty nicely for that too. Now, with all this rain moving in here tonight, I do think we pick up around another ½ inch at least. Some spots are going to get a little bit less than that, some closer to ¼ inch. I think a ½ inch is a pretty good average for a lot of us, but some communities could get as much as another inch of rainfall. And this is on top of everything that came down yesterday and early this morning. All of that rainfall that we picked up, some spots picked up more than 4 inches of rainfall over towards southeastern Indiana and Aurora. CVG officially picking up 2.71 inches of rain. We picked up around 2.3 in Loveland, so this was beneficial rain for sure. We did end up seeing, again, just a ton of rainfall last night and early on this morning while a lot of us were sleeping. Tonight, I think we're closer to anywhere from as little as ¼ inch to as much as about a full inch of rain. 72 in Cincinnati right now, as I mentioned, and we'll stay pretty comfortable for the rest of the afternoon into this evening. It's going to be really nice outside with that front or the rain on the way for us here tonight. So tomorrow's going to be a weather impact day because we've got the rainfall around in the morning. So keep that in mind for that commute into work, or even for the fact that the kids are going to be getting on the bus and there's that chance of rain early in the morning tomorrow. We'll dry out throughout the afternoon. Looks good for the game in the evening time as we head into the second half last night, and we're going to see a chance for more tonight. How much more rain is going to fall coming up next? We are looking at the chance for more rain here tonight, but the good thing, if you've got plans this evening, you are going to stay dry for the rest of the evening time frame. So that's some good news there. Temperatures right now in the 70s. Overall, pretty nice afternoon and evening around greater Cincinnati so far here today. Now that rain chance, though, that's going to start to kick in tonight closer to 11 o'clock or even later. So yes, that sounds a lot like last night, right? We had that overnight severe weather threat, the overnight threat of thunderstorms. For tonight, severe weather is not something I'm too concerned with. I do think there is a chance of rain, possibly some rumbles of thunder here 11 o'clock and later. So the timing of it all is very similar to what we saw last night. Could you also be woken up tonight by thunder? Less likely than it was last night, but still I'd suppose there is that chance. At least there is going to be some rain and some thunderstorms that travel up along the Ohio eventually to here in Cincinnati by about, again, 11 to midnight tonight. We'll start to see that potential. So I'll be watching very closely all of these thunderstorms as they move their way up the Ohio River and then starting to edge their way into some of our southwesternmost communities by 11 midnight tonight. There's going to be that potential for some scattered rainfall for the morning commute tomorrow as well. So that's something else to keep in mind. That's why Wednesday is a weather impact day, because we have rain around for the morning commute. Meanwhile, this evening, as I mentioned, temperatures in the 70s, very comfortable outside. So coming up in a few minutes, I'm going to show you not only the timeline of rainfall when it's going to be moving out of here by tomorrow morning, but also the cooler weather that we're going to be feeling this upcoming weekend, because it might have you wishing for the 70s as we get closer to Flying Pig weekend. Ashley? Return overnight tonight. Some of that rain sticking around for part of Wednesday. I'll show you which days most impacted by any wet weather and the cooler weather that's heading our way for the second half of the week coming up. You're watching Cincinnati's WLWT News 5 and we'll be right back. Yeah, either you slept right through it or it woke you up and kept you up for a lot of the night. So tonight we also have the chance for more rain overnight as well as the potential to hear some rumbles of thunder out there. This afternoon still quiet and calm. Temperatures right now sitting in the 70s all across town. So if you're heading out, grabbing the kids, running errands, grabbing dinner, anything like that, temperatures are going to stay in the 70s in Fairfield for a bit longer, 73 there now. We have 75 in Laughlin, sitting closer to about 74 in Coleraine. Cincinnati, Covington, both sitting around 72 degrees so far here this afternoon. Again, it's a quiet radar out there, so that is some good news. However, it does not last very long. Looking back to our southwest, we've got this complex of thunderstorms moving in our direction slowly but surely. So as we head into the overnight tonight, we are going to start to see rain chances ticking up a little bit closer to about 11 o'clock or so, that we begin to see some of the first showers and thunderstorms moving into the Cincinnati area. Severe weather for tonight, not something I'm concerned about. As we head into the overnight time frame, I think this is rain with a couple rumbles of thunder moving through. Some of those rainfall totals could be closer to about a half inch up to a full inch of rain. Some don't pick up much more than a quarter of an inch though. So in terms of our totals, I think on average, a lot of us are picking up about a half inch or so of rainfall. And on top of last night's rain, which depending on where you live, you either picked up more than 4 inches or you picked up closer to an inch of rainfall. We saw a lot of rain, a lot of beneficial rain last night moving through. But again, this is something that is still going to add more drops to the bucket for us here tonight. I actually think tomorrow morning's commute is going to be a little bit soggy. So tomorrow is a weather impact day for that rain around during the morning commute. Looking most prominent for the early morning commuters closer to 5 to about 8 o'clock in the morning. If you leave the house after that, rain chances start to fade away just a little bit. As we head into the middle of the day tomorrow, I think we start to dry out. Eventually we should see some clearing in the sky. Temperatures are going to reach into the 60s for us tomorrow, and this is kind of the sign of our cooler weather that's going to be heading our way for the second half of the week. So a cool day out there tomorrow, and once we get into the afternoon, should see at least a little bit of clearing, but there is a possibility for mostly cloudy skies to last throughout a good portion of your Wednesday. So for the impact, it's really going to be tonight through tomorrow, early tomorrow morning, that we feel the brunt of the impact from this system. Rain and thunderstorms are going to be moving in here after about 11 o'clock or so. Our totals will be around a half inch. And then once we get to tomorrow morning, rain is around for the morning commute, especially before 8 o'clock. And then after that, slowly starts to taper off. And we're drier for the afternoon and looking cooler out there too. But for the rest of tonight, still nice if you're heading out to the Reds game. Temperatures should be closer to about 71 for first pitch, falling down to about 64 for the last out. Overall, very comfortable for the rest of the afternoon. For tomorrow, once we get past that impact in the morning, we'll start to dry out. That drying trend lasts through Thursday. Temperatures, though, still stuck in the 60s. As we head into the upcoming weekend, overall, looks like it's going to be mainly dry this upcoming weekend. We do have to keep an eye out for a slight chance of some rainfall early Friday morning. That's going to keep us cool throughout a lot of the day. Upper 50s out there, upper 50s into Saturday afternoon, too. And of course, with it being Flying Pig weekend, those morning temperatures, something to really keep a close eye on. Looks like we actually see for race morning for the marathon, temperatures in the morning starting off right around 34 to 36, a really chilly start to the day. And then as we get into the afternoon, starting to see those temperatures reaching up to about 60 or so. So if you're doing any celebrations after the rain and thunderstorms on the way for us tonight, I'll show you the timeline for when they're in and out and how much more rain you can expect. We see any rainfall here tonight. So good news for anybody who still has to run some late night errands out there. Rain chances are going to start to increase closer to 11 o'clock tonight or even midnight. So yes, that does come into play as you're either heading off to bed or already asleep at that point. Where the rainfall is right now, those thunderstorms, look back out to the southwest. This is going to be traveling essentially up the Ohio River, bringing us that rainfall potential here closer to, again, midnight or so as it starts to move into the area. Generally anywhere from about, I would say, possibly as early as 11, more realistically, possibly as late as about midnight or 12:30 into the overnight time frame. Good news is I don't necessarily think severe weather is going to be an issue for us here tonight, so we should just be looking at some rain and some thunderstorms rolling through. But yes, there is that chance that you still hear some rumbles of thunder overnight tonight. This is going to continue into tomorrow morning as well. In fact, that Wednesday morning commute does look like at times it could be a little bit soggy out there. So I'll have more on that timeline for when you can expect to see the rainfall throughout your Wednesday morning, and then the cooler weather that is going to be left behind after all of this rainfall coming up in a few minutes. Chris? Sleeping, I'll show you that potential for hearing some thunder again tonight, as well as how long this rain's going to last into tomorrow morning coming up. You're watching Cincinnati's WLWT News 5, and we'll be right back. Rainfall was out of here and done, but for tonight, it's going to be a little bit different. This lasts more into that morning commute for your Wednesday. So here's all the rain back out to our west. It's to the west and southwest of us, and it's going to be moving in here much later tonight, closer to, I would say, at the earliest about 11, but likely for many of us, we don't see any of the rain until closer to midnight or possibly even 12:30 or 1 o'clock in the morning before it actually starts to move in. Thunderstorm chances are there. I think you could hear some rumbles of thunder in addition to picking up some rainfall as we head into the overnight tonight. So for that timeline, again, we're dry from now until about, again, at the earliest 11, but most of us probably closer to midnight or so before we start to see the rain moving into the area. It will continue kind of scattered and off and on overnight throughout tomorrow morning's commute. I think if your commute brings you out the door early on between 5 and 8, you've got the best chance to see the rain during your drive into work or taking the kids off to school. Any later than that, it starts to become a little bit more spotty. Here we are closer to about 9:30 or so. Some spotty rain will continue up until about midday. Once we hit noon, I do think we start to dry out. However, there is a slight chance that we end up seeing a few showers continuing into tomorrow afternoon, possibly even as late as tomorrow evening. And overall, it is going to be a cooler day out there tomorrow as well, with temperatures struggling to reach out at the low 60s. So much cooler outside, and this is the start of what is going to be a cold couple of days heading into the upcoming weekend, a very busy weekend to be out and about running, watching people run this upcoming weekend. Looks quite chilly for Flying Pig events. So from now until about 10 or 11, we'll start to see the rain chances kind of creeping in slowly but surely, but for the most part, we'll stay dry for a few more hours here tonight. 11 o'clock and later, that rain and thunderstorm threat starts to go up. With that, totals are looking to be closer to a ½ inch. I think a ½ inch is going to be average for a lot of us. About a ¼ inch is what I think the lowest totals will end up being for tonight, and then anywhere from about a ¼ inch to a ½ inch. Maybe a few isolated spots seeing closer to a full inch of rainfall. Now, again, rain chances start to wrap up tomorrow throughout the afternoon, but in the off chance we end up still seeing an isolated shower throughout tomorrow evening, decided to go ahead and include that in the forecast for tomorrow's Reds game. So if you're going out to that one, it's going to be comfortable overall, a little bit cool, low 60s out there for the game, but that isolated shower chance isn't 100% ruled out for the entire area. So whether or not that's going to be impacting greater American Ballpark at this point. Looks to be a very low chance, but still at least a chance somewhere in the greater Cincinnati area to see an isolated shower throughout tomorrow evening, and then we'll start to dry out heading into Thursday. In fact, Thursday looks like a pretty decent day with temperatures reaching only into the upper 50s, but we'll stay dry on Thursday. 71 now in Cincinnati. This is the warmest that we are going to be for a few days. Temperatures really start to cool off here. Tomorrow 63, 61 on Thursday, Friday 59 for our high temperature, upper 50s on Saturday too. Sunday is going to be a cold start for the Flying Pig. Temperatures in the low or mid 30s, I should say, closer to about 36 for the starting line. And then we'll still see some sunshine throughout the day with temperatures reaching into the 50s and eventually low 60s by the afternoon. High temperature that happens closer to about 3 or 4 o'clock.